Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. Today I'm back with a Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 replay cast, getting right back onto that casting train here. We've got ourselves another Terran versus Zerg, and it's going to be on Neon Violet Square here. It should be a good one. We've got two guys chatting, and I'm sure you know who they are, spawning down the bottom right-hand side of the map. Playing for Team OSC Esports, a relatively new team, but not a new player. It is Cham. He's been in the scene for quite a while, a Mexican Zerg player here. Very, really risen, I believe, in 2016. And 2017. He had some good performances, really sort of surprising performances as he sort of came out of nowhere a little bit, but he's known as a pretty solid player at the moment. And now his opponent spawning up in the top left-hand side of the map, my fellow Canadian, it is Semper here. Semper, a Terran who's really been up high in the North American scene, but sort of been on the cusp of breaking into the pro scene, as I believe he is a full-time student. So it's not like it's not like pro gaming is his main focus, but he has attended quite a few events, qualified for some of them. We're gonna see how he'll do into 2018 here. I'm trying to think of what year it is, and it's certainly 2018 now. So we've got. Should be a good match between these two guys. It's going to be interesting to see how they sort of clash here. It could really go the lengths, I think, so we'll just have to wait and see. The map Neon Violet Square could make things interesting. Does sort of set up for macro games. I mean, it's pretty hard to cheese your opponent on this map. There's one or two things that can be done, but with these two guys, I don't think that will be the case here. Right now, as far as the builds go between these guys, pretty standard stuff it looks like. Or it might actually have been you'll have to forgive me for not paying attention, but I believe that spawning pool is a little bit early. Usually they take... I'm probably mistaken. Never mind, that was a hatchery before a pool. So pretty standard stuff coming out of these guys here. We've got the forlings on the way for Chammy, as his name displays. Whereas Semper just going for the standard Reaper there, but following it up with a Marine, interestingly enough, so not diving right on into a reactor. He may start one right after this. It's possible he's going to try and catch an Overlord, or this Marine is just to prevent a Ling run by or things like that if it was a pool first, but it's not a pool first here. It is just a standard build coming out. 6 Lings for Cham is plenty. Wants to be safe from that Reaper. Really shouldn't lose any drones to this Reaper. The Reaper's maybe going to get a Ling or two. So far, it's good control for Cham. That one drone getting weak. Semper wants to dive for it, but not willing to sacrifice his Reaper for it. Now, Semper, I love this out of him, honestly. He's going for a fast third CC, and that's something that really can work out for Terran. Terrans sort of have been pushed into, like to go for the aggression, and third CCs have not, really fast third CCs and TvZs have not been something that's been too common. It's possible that he may be playing bio here. Really, however he follows this up, I would love to see if he does go max, sort of starts building up a really high Hellion count. But looking from this tech lab, I believe it will be bio he'll go into here. So it will be a while before that sort of gets started off, but he does want to have the stim for when that's ready, it seems. And starts that stim there. So he is going to have the stim for the Marines, but he's not going to have too much else besides that. So he is going to have to be safe, sort of be aware of what's going on. And looking at the timing of these bases here, Cham's been happily droning here. However, he is just getting up his third base, so Semper's will actually be done before him. That's how greedy this is. Terrans can go for third CC builds, but this is pretty much as fast of a third CC build as you can get here. We're seeing the additional racks just going up now, where Cham's Overlord was actually sort of denied there. It sees something being upgraded there, but doesn't know whether it's Cloak, Banshee, so he sort of is going to have to respect that a little bit, as if we look at his vision there, we can see that that could have been anything. And he's got the Diva announcer pack on there. Depending on his game sense, he sort of may have sniffed out that that's going to be Stim, but there's always the possibility that he thought it was Cloak, but really it is Starcraft 2. There's only so much. However, he is playing it safe here, getting the Spores, so that's nice for Semper that he had those Marines in the right position to deny that Overlord. Cham even throwing up a, maybe a little bit worried here, throwing up a Spine. That's pretty defensive, whereas Semper is not looking his direction anytime soon. He's just sort of macroing up, but Semper's done a great job telling this story. I mean, Just sort of having all his units in the right place. Cham not going for anything like that Overlord speed there, so no Overlord's going to dive in here. He hasn't managed to get any Lings in to see what's been going on here. 2 Hellions for Semper are looking to poke in. Maybe just running on creep a little bit. They're trying to freak Cham out a little bit. Cham is prepared for this. He's got a high queen count, by the way. I'm loving this. Zergs sort of... Some Zergs... There was the time in Legacy of the Void when it was just getting started out, and Zergs thought, you know, we can make a lot of queens, and then some of them backed off it a little bit, but I'm loving to see this, particularly on a map like this. Cham should be able to get his creep spread going incredibly well, but as far as Semper getting going here, this could just be a game in which there's a lot of macro built up right now, and Semper, because he's just going to start running away in the macro front. They're on even bases right now. He's about to land his third. He'll be able to transfer some SCVs there, drop some mules, but he's already getting his 1-1 on the way. There's no sign of it starting for Cham just yet. I believe he may have built some Evos, but has not started any upgrades. Actually, yes, there is the 2 Evos, and he does start his upgrades, but Semper, he's macroing away. He's getting up that 5th Rax. I believe he'll throw up an armory soon. He's just already ahead on army supply, and his economy is going to be fantastic. So Cham is going to be going into this Lingbane Hydra style. However, he may be tight pressed if Semper hits a strong window here. Semper actually going for a drop. So this is a bit of a risk for him. He's got a very strong macro front. It's possible that if he just consolidated all his forces and tried to push the front, he may be able to do it. Or it's possible that if he goes for a drop, he may get more damage. But then there's always the possibility that he won't get much damage here if he loses his drop. He does need to be careful with that. There's a lot of creep spread out here. I believe Cham has seen this drop. Yes, he has. Semper may just stim in, clean up some creep here. If he has a scan. Gets the Overlord anyway that saw him, so he paid for that. We're now seeing these Marines. So good focus fire. Picks off 1 or 2 Banelings, but actually bleeds off a few Marines there. And when I say a few, almost a Medivac full. So not really worth it for Semper there. It might have been better if he was just sort of poking the front. He's denied a few creep tumors, but that's it. And the north isn't really a position that the Terran necessarily pushes all the time, but maybe this is the route Semper's looking to take. Tries to get that queen, but he sees the Hydras. The queens keep that Overlord safe. Once again, he's dropping. He's doing all this fancy micro, but I'm not sure it's going to amount to much. And a frontal push, I think, would be very good for him right now. He's got up another factory. His armory is late here, so he's actually going to be losing this upgrade advantage here. It's possible that Cham could actually pull ahead if he starts his upgrades before Semper. Semper going for another drop here, getting a bit of damage done. But so far, only 2 drones have gone down in this game. So while Cham sort of had the more typical macro route and Semper had the large amount of greed, it's really not amounting to much for Semper at the moment. He's stimming in. Is he going to clean up some creep here? I believe he will, yeah. But Cham, if he's just trading creep for time, I think he's going to be pretty happy with that. Semper is building up a siege tank count. He's now got his 2-2 on the way, where Cham hasn't started this, but Cham, he's getting up his 4th base. He's making 11 drones, so he's going to be up to about 80 drones, and he's going to be very, very scary here. Semper looking to maybe get some more drops off, but look at this defense route. Look at those queens. They are standing tall there on their watch. And Semper loads up into the very weak Medivac. This could go very wrong. He may just have to wait it out there. Right now we're seeing a lot of Marine tank coming out of Semper. No Marauders or anything like that, so he's going to try and push the front with this. There's actually not many units here for Cham. He could be just sort of jumped on top of here by all these Marines. The majority of his army must be somewhere else. He has invested in a lot of drones, so now he's going to spend what money he has on a large chunk of Banelings to hopefully push this back for him. Semper looks like he's going to be going through these rocks. There is a lot of creep around here, so he could be surrounded there. We'll have to see how this goes. He's getting all the tanks set up, so either way, it looks like that Cham is going to be engaging into siege tanks here. Semper trying to be aware of what's going on. He's got a Marine up top to sort of scout if there's a flank coming. However, this could happen very quickly if Cham decides to go for a fight, though. But Semper's not really rushing through these rocks at this point. I mean, Cham's having a lot of time to sort of build up. Semper may have a 2-2 window, or they may just fight on 1-1. We'll have to see how that'll go. But Semper, he is macroing back at home, getting up a 4th CC on location on the gold base, so pretty confident that this move out's going to keep Cham busy. He's diving right on top of his base. That's a lot of bio that sort of caught back, but he is going to pull back into the siege tank fire. But there is that surround from Cham coming in. Semper's doing his best to fight as right now the players are on equal upgrades. However, the Hydra's just pushed through. Most of the tanks go down as the Banelings got some good connections and sort of forced Semper to take a non-favorable engagement there. A planetary is on the way for Semper, so he's getting up to his 4th base, so he's sort of happy to macro at this point, but it is a TvZ. Terrans generally do like to close this out here. His 2-2's now done. Cham's won't be far behind. It would be good to see Semper starting his 3-3 right away if he can. Cham getting up to a hive, so he has sort of stayed on this lower tech for the time being, but now that he's sort of secured this bit of time, he should be happy, although this bio could get on top of some of those Hydras, but there are Banelings that will force him back there. Semper scan moving forward very quickly here. Needs to be careful that these Banelings could just get right on top of him. The siege tanks are a little bit far back there. Cham engages into these tanks, so that could be poor for him. All the tanks on siege for Semper there. He is actually going to retreat right now. Throws up another CC. Starts all his upgrades here. Making a lot more barracks, so he's pretty content to macro at this point. It could be a long TvZ macro game. We've got that drop that was up there for a long time trying to get something done. Gets a tumor or two, but that's it. Semper looking to poke in once again. He's got a pretty decent siege tank count. There's really no major tech for Semper that will help, for Cham, pardon me, that will help shut this down. As really he does just have the Lingbane Hydra, so it really will come down to the engagement right now. Players are equal on upgrades, however, it is just the melee upgrades, so the Hydras will actually lose out a little bit. So this is sort of better for Semper in a way. However, Cham is setting up one hell of a surround right now. Semper needs to sniff this out. He's going to force back one side of it, and that could actually work out well for him if he engages it. Cleans up some of those Banelings there. Now Cham's going to be going for it. This is a large amount of siege tanks. Some of the buffer is out of the way though, but these siege tanks absorbing a lot of the Banelings. The bio is doing its best to fight this. However, Semper's trying to get out of there, loses a large chunk of medivacs, and once again, Cham holds on. Semper is preparing his transition though. He's building up a mass liberator count. It looks like he's throwing up a fusion core, so he knows he's going to have to deal with ultras. I mean, as Cham has held on, Semper's aware of this. He needs to be careful though. Could have a rough time versus these ultras because these engagements without them haven't been working out for him, and all of the upgrades for Cham are going to be finishing soon. So it could be very tough for Semper to find room in this game. He's now down on supply. He's investing in a lot of tech. His macro is pretty fantastic at this point. He's going to want to turn that base into a planetary there. But once he does, he should be set up to play the macro game versus Cham if he wants to. Cham, though, looking a little aggressive, a little bit proactive there, I guess, trying to make sure that Semper doesn't get in any good situations. And he's done a good job preventing Semper from really getting on top of him there. That PF is now on the way. Semper also hasn't taken the back base. Both of these players seem to have skipped it. Cham maybe just wanted another macro hatchery, but he will have that base as a fallback as well. But it seems that the trend on Neon Violet Square on this map is not to take that weaker base back there. Right now we're seeing, once again, this seems to be the story of this game as Cham goes for a surround coming from all sides, and Semper is letting him dive right on top of him. Semper pulling back what he can, but he's going to lose all these siege tanks. The Liberators picking off a few of the units. There's some of the bio left. One or two of the ultras may get picked off there. However, Semper bleeding off a lot of supply once again, and that was a lot of high-tech, expensive units. He lost most of his siege tanks there, most of his Liberator count that he was just starting to build up. We are now seeing ghosts be on the cards for Semper here, so he is going to try and play the late game. However, this could be a little rough for him. The map sort of is very open for the Zerg player, and Terrans sort of want to play a bit in a bit more of a condensed location. So we'll see how Semper sets up to go into this later game right now. He's going for a drop, which is something great. If he can pick off a base or two, that can quickly turn the tide of the game right now. But so far, Cham's done a fantastic job defending. He's getting into Vipers, and Vipers, Ultras, Hydras, and Banes make for a very good force if you choose to attack the Terran. We're seeing a Marine move out. I'd love to see perhaps some Liberator harassment coming out of Semper, as that's what he's invested so much in. Does he have the ballistics, the advanced ballistics? Yes, he does. He's also getting attack upgrades for the Liberators, so he's building up a very high-tech army. However, this entire game, he's thrown away a lot of those very expensive units. Let's see how many units have gone down this game. 15 siege tanks. That is quite a bit, as Cham has been quite happy just to trade off that Lingbane Hydra to deal with it. A Liberator harassment was attempted there, however, gets shut down. The drop from Semper unloaded there. Semper looking to poke in. He's got a scary amount of Liberators. Cham is actually just going on top of this, but this is a large chunk of Liberators. However, Abducts go down on most of them there. The Liberators are shelling away at some of the Hydras. However, Semper has been pushed back right now. He's got a few more Liberators coming out, so he should be able to hold, however. And he's got the 2 Planetaries. He needs to be careful, though. He's going to re-siege up the tanks, but that was very opportunistic by Cham getting on top of Semper there. He may kill his own hatchery. This is a lot of Vipers eating it here. Stops, actually. Does not want that to be weak. And now here's Semper coming in with a counterattack. Gonna pick off the gold base. It looks like Queen transfuses to buy a little bit of time, but it won't be enough there, so Semper will be able to lift off and get out. So that's a nice pick off. Lost a bit of his army, but he did get something in return. Semper getting a bit of damage done to Cham. I almost want to say finally getting some damage done to Cham. Right now we're seeing some Liberators siege up for Semper. He's producing as many as he can here, but the question is, will he be able to hold the Vipers? And actually EMP goes off on most of them, so there's not going to be too many Abducts to shut this down. However, there is a high Hydra count, but there does seem to be enough for Semper on the ground that it will be hard for Cham to engage this. 1 or 2 Liberators at this other base for Semper will be picked off. This is his 5th base. He does need to repair it. He needs to continuously repair it, pull all the SCVs on. As the bio works on these units from behind, it looks like the base will go down, but a large chunk of these units will sort of pay the price for it. There's the accidental swarm host for Cham that's up in the thick of it now. You're seeing that 1 ghost snipe that 1 ultra there. However, there's still these 2 ultras here, and Semper, he's been producing as much as he can. He lost that base, however, but he's floating another one over, so he's taken some damage, but he did manage to hold on. Cham, though, is rebuilding that gold base. He can always saturate this base at the back. He's got that, he's got his most forward base as well. An attempted link run by Cham, but Semper does have that wall up, so he's safe in that regard. However, Semper is starting to mine out. He's mined out his main, well, almost mined out his main base. Almost mined out his natural. His 3rd base is looking sorry in that gold base, so it is very important that he holds onto this 1 base here. And it may be worth it for him to eventually float over one of these bases to the back there, just to give him a bit of a consistent income there. He's been down on supply for quite a while right now, just down by 20 supply for a while. He's building up a high-tech army though, but there's really not too much of a buffer for this. However, the Liberator count is actually pretty scary right now. There's the few Vipers, but it could be tough engaging into this. There's the Ghosts as well. We'll see if EMPs can go off on this. So far, no EMPs have been thrown down. He EMPs most of the Vipers there, so that's actually huge for him. The Liberators are doing their best. However, the Hydras may just be able to pull them apart piece by piece, and it seems they do. Right now, Semper forced back once again. Semper has been trying to crack Cham, but Cham has shut him down every step of the way here. These Vipers going to make quick work of that extractor there. We'll see if it actually gets killed off. There it goes. Oh, well, that base wasn't exactly mining at the time. So Semper actually did get some damage done there. He managed to kill off that north base, and he did kill off this one here too. So it's not like he has been getting no damage done, but he's lost a large chunk of army every time. He's got all these Liberators, and Cham being very bold engaging into this. However, the Abducts make most of them sort of reset. Semper will have to set them up again, and doing that when you're in a situation like this is very tough. He tries to set them up again. However, it's right underneath the Hydras. It seems that Cham may have just pushed through, and he did. So Cham, very well played, shutting Semper down by just preventing the attack, preventing him from getting his teeth in. Very well played. He was happy to macro, and that's what he did. So a very solid play from Cham. Semper not quite managing to make it, not quite managing to break through. But if you guys enjoyed this cast, feel free to leave a like. I've been casting quite a bit of SC2 lately. If you enjoy the content, feel free to subscribe. Otherwise, I shall see you next time. Thanks for watching.